SpaceX goes public with the largest IPO in history and just made Elon Musk the first ever trillionaire. But the real story is not its IPO price, it's what's on SpaceX's balance sheet. SpaceX is now the largest public company that holds Bitcoin. But before I get into all the details, I do want to watch Elon Musk ringing the bell. He kind of gave an inspirational speech. I'm not going to lie. It almost made me want to go out and buy SpaceX shares, believe in SpaceX. It almost goes against what I was saying the other day. So let's watch it. It's short, but it's kind of awesome. I'm not going to lie.
And that's what SpaceX is all about. It's to take the fiction out of science fiction and create an exciting, inspiring future for everyone. We want to be able to take anyone who wants to go to the moon, anyone who wants to go to Mars, or anyone in the solar system, and maybe beyond the solar system at some point. We want to be able to take you there. Not just a few astronauts. I mean you, literally you. There are always problems on Earth. There are always problems on Earth. There are always things that we wish to be better, that we want to solve here on Earth, and we should solve them. But there also have to be things that get you excited about the future, that make you glad to wake up in the morning because you can't wait to see what happens next. And that's the future that SpaceX wants to bring to you.
All right, enough of that. You heard it. You heard it here first. Actually, guys, though, isn't it kind of interesting what he said? If you watch when I was covering this, I believe it was Friday, he literally said exactly what I was saying about SpaceX. You know, funny coincidence. Anyways, let's get into all of the details here. So, SpaceX, or SPCX, stock officially begins trading today at a $160.83 per share price, up 19% from the stock's IPO price, and officially makes SpaceX a $2.1 trillion company, or the 7th largest public company in the world. So that in and of itself is just insane, right? As I've been covering on this story, the SpaceX IPO, biggest one in history. And I think the numbers that I saw is like 20 times bigger than any other IPO. I believe the last big one was Alibaba, and that was not at a $2.1 trillion price range. Okay, so right off the gate, SpaceX is making history, right? And like I said, in the process, made Elon Musk a trillionaire. So we have a first ever, actually two huge world-breaking, record-breaking moments happening here. There is a single person that is a trillionaire, at least on paper. All right, so trillionaire status achieved. And maybe that is also part of the, you know, the fiat view of what we're saying. Everything's getting more expensive. Even our rich people are getting richer because there's so many dollars out there, okay? It's getting crazy. But we're not here to just talk about SpaceX, okay? It's not just about SpaceX and their IPO price, obviously. I will chat about it a little bit. I was kind of trolling when I said it made me want to go out and buy the SpaceX stock right now. I would give it a minute, okay? Let's get through this bit before you consider going out and smash buying SpaceX. We might have some information on where to go, okay? I could be wrong, but we've seen IPOs play out in the past, and they usually have a pretty familiar price, direction, trajectory, okay? But anyways, again, this is a Bitcoin show, right? So here we go. Let's go into the Bitcoin treasuries leaderboard here. Officially, SpaceX at number 8 with 18,712 Bitcoin. So absolutely massive, just right out of the gate. Top 10, all right? So again, 2.1 trillion, 7th largest company in the world, is also the 8th largest Bitcoin holder in the world. Now, no one but Bitcoiners are going to talk about this. That's why I'm talking about it, right? Anyways, there is a good write-up to kind of explain the technicals on the SpaceX Bitcoin holdings, and here it is. So, SpaceX Bitcoin position has been on the balance sheet for some time with an average acquisition cost around $35,000 per Bitcoin. So, obviously, They're sitting on unrealized gains there, right? Bitcoin's at what, 63K? They bought most of, or all of that 18,000 plus Bitcoin at roughly a 35K price. They're pretty happy about it, right? Obviously, we only found this out because the SEC, basically, due to the rules, he had to disclose what's on the balance sheet. And this is why it is so interesting, because we've seen Elon Musk have a interesting public view on Bitcoin. You know, he famously had the laser eyes on Twitter. He accepted Bitcoin for payment at Tesla. He had his whole flirtation with Doge for a while. He even tried to start a government entity called Doge to just kind of troll on this idea. And then, of course, most famously, I think, and this is where he got a lot of backlash, was he stopped taking the Bitcoin payments on his Tesla site for merchandise, etc., because of the, Bitcoin needs to be 51% green. Turns out Bitcoin hit that point and it hasn't returned yet, if I remember correctly. Or rather, maybe put a better way, that was seemingly the last time that we heard Elon Musk really talk about Bitcoin. And I think this is the whole story here. I really do believe that this is the whole story. But before I do that, of course, post-IPO, Musk will retain controlling stake of roughly 42 to 43% of equity. So we could pretty safely assume that the post-IPO treasury decisions from SpaceX will largely remain under Musk influence. So with that, it's basically the idea that they're going to keep that Bitcoin first and foremost. Second, we'll see if they start to acquire more Bitcoin. And that's where it gets really interesting. Because, look, everyone's talking about the SpaceX IPO. SpaceX just went public. Super cool. Even though publicly Elon Musk has kind of been trolling around Bitcoin, he embraced Bitcoin, then he kind of pulled back and said, oh, it's, it doesn't use clean energy. We're not going to really use it. The whole time they've been accumulating Bitcoin. They have the 8th largest treasury. Now, this is where it also gets very interesting, because there has been a lot of rumors around SpaceX and Tesla merging. As I've been saying, that's kind of the second conversation. SpaceX goes public. Now that it's public, are they going to merge SpaceX and Tesla together? And if that does take place, then they will rocket shit up the Bitcoin treasury leaderboard. Because again, as I've been covering, Tesla here is at number 12 with 11,509. So that would mean they would hold 30,000 plus Bitcoin. So they would be in the 5th or 6th position if that merger does take place, because you combine both of Tesla and SpaceX Bitcoin. As you can tell, Bitcoin is a part of the balance sheet equation, and not only just a part of it, but one of the, I guess, maybe silent leaders in it. Now, that is, I think, the conversation. Not only has Musk secretly stacking Bitcoin for both of his companies, but he, a technologist, someone that is future looking, that wants to get excited every morning and wake up to a future that is better, realizes, yeah, I may publicly, say some things that maybe is not so pro Bitcoin, but he understands that Bitcoin is the future money. Bitcoin is the money for the digital age, and his companies are obviously saving in Bitcoin. So, hey, look, I always say it. You guys kind of laugh at me when I say it. It's not so much what they say, it's what they do. And maybe for us, we have the meme, slay your heroes. But if the first trillionaire in the world is saving in Bitcoin, if it's good enough for him, I think it could be good enough for us here, okay? I think it could be good enough for everyday people. Now, I know there's a lot of people that maybe hear that and they start to think no one should be a trillionaire. They go down that kind of rabbit hole. And I'm taking it the other way. I'm like, look, if you want to be successful, maybe you should copy what successful people do. You could get into the different caveats of how Musk became the first trillionaire. And yeah, you know, maybe it's not all pretty. But when I see a trillionaire holding Bitcoin, it's like, yeah, maybe I should do that too, okay? I know Bitcoiners do the slay your heroes thing, but the average person, there's probably some wisdom in following what the first trillionaire in the world, in history, is doing. Not only on his company, but of course, his private holdings. Because we do know he holds his, you know, he holds private, or he holds his own Bitcoin, not just on his company. So, largest IPO in history, $2.1 trillion valuation, 7th largest public company in the world, is also the 8th largest public company holding Bitcoin. If that Tesla SpaceX merger happens, push them into maybe 5th position on that leaderboard, because combining SpaceX and Tesla's Bitcoin, it's getting crazy, right? You can see that the story is a little more interesting than just the SpaceX price or IPO price. And guys, also, guess what? This is when the 1 minute chart just comes in clutch. Okay. So this is the SpaceX 1 minute chart. It's looking pretty good. You know, there was an initial pump, there was a dump, but it is kind of ripping this morning, at least on the 1 minute chart. You know, 1 minute chart, it's ripping. This can completely change while the whole show happens, and maybe even later. And this is where it is very interesting, the conversation, because again, we've seen IPOs happen. They usually do follow a certain trajectory, but just to troll this out, it is Friday. We're going to take it a little light. We saw this morning, guys. The inverse Kramer is in. Jim Cramer said SpaceX could soar to unsustainable levels after its IPO. Guys, it's like it's the funniest thing, and not saying that this is necessarily the case, but Jim Cramer is like the quintessential exit liquidity signal. It's like whatever the insiders want to happen, Jim Cramer goes out there, shills that stock so that the insiders can sell it to retail so that they find new bag holders. Literally, like clockwork, Jim Cramer gives the exit liquidity signal. He gives the bag holder signal. He's like, yo, SpaceX is going to go to the craziest levels ever. You should buy it right now. It's a buy. And it's just insiders dumping on retail. Yo, it's so funny. I honestly, side point, it must be so awesome having Jim Cramer's job. You just get paid to literally get bag holders. It's absolutely insane. All right. It's absolutely insane. But anyways, let's look at the previous IPOs, previous big IPOs. And here's a good chart. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Can you guys see that? No, it's kind of small. Okay, so there is a pretty similar pattern that you see with IPO prices, and it's that usually about a year afterwards, it's like 50% down. Okay, so maybe right now, if you are bullish on SpaceX, if you like going to Mars or to the moon, or have the thoughts of one day you yourself can go to Mars or the moon, etc., and you're very bullish on SpaceX, I would not be buying this stock right now at these prices. You will probably be able to get a better discount, okay? You will get it at a good discount. Do not chase the hype. You probably shouldn't be buying it right now. Maybe if ever, but hey, Bitcoin company. At this point, we can say SpaceX is a Bitcoin company. Elon Musk is a Bitcoiner. So I'm not going to lie, you know, in a year from now, it's going to be very interesting to see where the SpaceX price is. If it plays out exactly, oh, here we go. We'll go back to the 1 minute chart while I kind of rant. So a lot of people have been talking about this idea of, you know, the IPO, the insiders basically selling and dumping on retail. And maybe I'm putting this in negative terms. Maybe the way I am saying it is a little cynical, but that's literally what an IPO is. For the true believers, that they can finally lock in and get out, and then the public can take it from there. Now, there are some interesting stuff going on. I've been seeing, again, a lot of this conversation is the .com era bubbles. Not saying that SpaceX is going to fail, but they have been tinkering with the rules here. I did see that the SP 500 did not add SpaceX to the index fund, but we did see like Robinhood lowered their limits. Excuse me. I think Fidelity also. So everyone, I think on Main Street is looking at the SpaceX IPO, and I think the kind of surface level thought here is, oh, finally retail is able to play in the big leagues. Finally, they're going to let us in. Finally, they open up the gate. In practice, and I saw a couple of tweets explaining this and really pinpointing on this, honing in on this. I don't know if it's necessarily that, you know, the powers that be, Wall Street, finally looked into their hearts and said, yeah, you know what? We want retail to be a part of this. We want retail to be rich. It's probably the opposite. One, of course, they are dumping on you. But two, from what I saw, if you buy SpaceX right now, that you can't really like trade it. There's going to be a holding period for this. And if you violate that, they will, you know, ban your account, or rather give you a suspension, multiple suspensions, and then finally ban your account. And then we have the Anthropic IPO, the ChatGPT IPO coming up here soon. And it does seem like this is what is saving, quote unquote, the stock market and the economy. It is almost feeling like, yeah, they're dumping on our heads, but also they need this to happen so that the game continues to go on. And you know what else is also very interesting? Remember we were talking about Trump yesterday on, all right, well, I guess the ceasefire's over. And then in the morning, Trump's like, we're gonna blow them off the map again, or whatever he said this morning. And then they pause the Iran war. It's like, actually, we had a good conversation yesterday, you know, suspiciously one day before the SpaceX IPO. It's literally almost like Trump is like, actually, sorry, I forgot what the day is. We're not going to start the war right before the SpaceX IPO because my boys, they need the exit liquidity. We're not going to mess up the SpaceX IPO launch. And yeah, it seems like it played out exactly as designed. Now, it's going to be very interesting. I didn't look at Trump's tweets this morning, but it's going to be interesting if we get something like on Monday, you know, actually we are going in. Actually, I saw some posts, and I don't think, I didn't fact check it, and I think I saw a community note, but the rumor is that the Iran war is over. And then I saw community notes like, no, this is fake news. It's not over yet. I think it was Far News that said Iran is verifying that the war is in fact not over. So still in the same playbook, but it is super interesting that the seemingly Iran war was paused so that the SpaceX IPO can continue. And remember what Trump said a long time ago, over a year ago at this point, that he is looking at not just the stock market, but of course the Bitcoin price as a gauge for how successful he is as the president. You know, the coincidences are here. I know my tinfoil hat's on. I know I'm connecting dots that probably aren't there. And everyone's like, Opti is such a conspiracy theorist. This is crazy. I just think the timing and the coincidences are racking up, and it's just suspicious timing. But hey, you know, what's fair? What's the saying? All is love in all is fair in love and war. Hey, I'm not judging here. I'm not going to be a whiny millennial. I just find it interesting. I just find it funny, right? I think it's actually amazing. I wish they would do this for Bitcoin, right? I wish they didn't want to just destroy the Bitcoin price, but finally we get the powers that be understanding understanding Bitcoin, and they start pumping it. So going full circle, I'll stop trolling. SpaceX price, you know, share price right now, or the IPO, it's like the biggest IPO ever. All the hype is in SpaceX. And as I started this clip here, this segment, the real story is what's on the balance sheet, right? I think obviously as a Bitcoiner, that's what the real story is. But I think what is also part of the story is the investor mindset, the mentality that we're seeing right now, the perspective of the investors. Everyone is chasing SpaceX right now. It's the most overhyped stock right now. I'm sure you had friends and family that are like, oh, my little stock trader, my little investor, are you buying SpaceX today? And you're like, no, I'm buying Bitcoin. And they just are laughing at you. They're in their Lambos laughing at you. Your uncle starts bullying you. He's like, you should have bought SpaceX. Look at this. 20% off IPO prices. I'm a genius. Yeah, your Chad uncle is a SpaceX insider, bro. Just go with me, right? And the Chud Bitcoin investor is like, yeah, no, but Bitcoin's gonna be so much higher. And even though I'm kind of making a troll about this and I'm making fun of myself here, I think that there's something there in the sense that SpaceX is the most overhyped stock right now. You could say a lot of people were saying that it's completely overvalued. I was seeing the Steve Carell Big Short, like it's a bubble. It's a bubble. I think they had, tens of billions. I forget what the number was. Like, I think it was 78 billion, if I'm remembering correctly, of cash flow, but somehow it's a $2.1 trillion company. So anyways, the idea, SpaceX, it's the big hype. And I'm not saying it's a bubble per se. What I'm saying is everyone is chasing this SpaceX IPO right now. It's the hottest thing right now. Again, not everyone, but a lot of people are saying it's completely overvalued. They're making Big Short memes about it. And where is Bitcoin? I would argue it's completely undervalued in the minds of investors. Yes, we're in a bear market. We don't really know where the bottom is, though Galaxy Research did drop a new report about where the bottom is. If I do have some time, I will cover it, but I am going to have BULLDOG Frank Holmes on today, and I think we're going to chat a little bit about price, so we'll get it from his perspective. He'll be on in about 20 minutes. Bitcoin's in a bear market. I would say completely undervalued while everyone is chasing what some are saying the most overvalued IPO ever. It's like herd mentality happening in real time. And we're just sitting over here like, yeah, no, like I swear Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million by 2030. I swear, guys, I swear it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Bitcoin's still the best performing asset the last 15 years. I swear, guys. That's me. We're coping about it. But it is insane. So two things playing out at once, right? SpaceX, largest public company holding Bitcoin. And then on the flip side is the mentality here. Everyone is chasing the new hot thing. Again, remember, Trump said it a while ago. The entire world is a casino. Everyone is chasing the gains. Everyone is chasing the fiat games. Everyone is chasing the casino jackpot. And Bitcoin is just completely undervalued. It's being ignored. It's boring. No one cares about Bitcoin until, of course, the price starts pumping again. The price starts turning back. And this is just where we are. Because we are a Bitcoin show, one of the ethos of this show is that we make Bitcoin content, obviously, but we look through the world with a Bitcoin lens. And when you see stuff like this happen, and also, technically, I guess you could say this is a financial show, not financial advice. I think that's the get out of jail free card here. So we're looking at what's going on Wall Street, and we're looking at what's going on in the culture, and we always have that Bitcoin lens. We view the world through that Bitcoin perspective. And you're watching SpaceX 2.1 valuation. Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire. They're holding 18,000 plus coins. They also realize that fiat is trash. Fiat is melting ice cubes, and you probably shouldn't be holding it. All of this is kind of just showing us that there is so many dollars in the system. And that is basically why we are getting these huge, quote, overvalued valuations. We're getting trillionaires, is because the money is broken. It is fundamentally rotten. Dollars, fiat currency is rotten. No one really, we're forced to use it. But if we are moving into a future that you are excited to wake up to in the morning, that future will be built on Bitcoin, and Elon Musk knows it, okay? Say what you want about Elon. I know I haven't been the most favorable in terms of Elon, but he's kind of growing on me, okay? He's kind of growing on me. And it's not what I think it's JJ on Rumble that always says it. It's like Opti will literally glaze anyone that holds Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm a Bitcoiner, okay? But that's not why he's kind of growing on me. It's you really just can't argue the results, right? I like winners, all right? I like winners. Full disclosure, I like winners. If everyone's going to hate on the first trillionaire, Opti's going to stand up for the first trillionaire. Yeah, that's my dude, all right? He's a Bitcoiner. But whatever, first trillionaire, he's got like, I don't know, 6 baby mamas. He's got like 27 children. He's flying rockets to space. He says you can go to Mars. I'm like, all right, man, look. Maybe Elon Musk really is Tony Stark, okay? Maybe he's awesome, all right? I'm standing with my boy. You know, Elon's my man now. Wait, pause. Elon's my boy. First trillionaire, let's go. First trillionaire is a Bitcoiner. Absolutely insane. Air horns for Opti. yeah, there we go. Okay, guys. So moving on, because I do want to give a little time for the numbers. Like I said, Prague, BULLDOG, Holmes from HIve Digital Technologies will be joining me. So going to be talking about markets and where he thinks the price is going a little later on, about 20 minutes. But we also got an interesting clip coming from BTCPrague, and I bet you know exactly what I'm going to say. We got the Saylor clip from Prague about why he sold the 32 Bitcoin. So that's what I want to get to. On that note, first commercial break. I'll be right back. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. Buying Bitcoin on an exchange and leaving it there isn't buying Bitcoin. It's buying an IOU. And the last decade has been a masterclass in what happens when those exchanges don't deliver on their promises.
Bitcoin Well is a self-custody Bitcoin platform. That means that when you buy Bitcoin, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet. You actually own it from the very first transaction. They're available both in the United States and Canada. Pricing is transparent, straightforward, and no nonsense. And if you're buying a larger amount of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Well Infinite gives you concierge-level support through a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, premium help for when it actually matters.
You can also stack a little extra through the referral and wishing well rewards. A nice bonus on top of the owning your own Bitcoin thing. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and sign up for the Bitcoin Well portal today and buy Bitcoin you actually own. Paper burns, paper floods, paper fades. If your seed phrase is written on paper, it's not really backed up. It's waiting to disappear. Stampseed's DIY kit lets you hammer your seed words directly into commercial grade titanium. Fireproof, crush-proof, waterproof, and permanent. Once your words are in the metal, they aren't going anywhere. Use code SIMPLY at stampseed.com for 15% off anything in the store. That's stampseed.com, code SIMPLY. Excuse me, guys. As you can tell, my voice is just cooked. Anyways, the current Bitcoin price is 63,930. Also, guys, are we going to add a little correlation to the SpaceX IPO happening and Bitcoin having some life in it? I don't know. Maybe everything I view is through the number go up. To what did they say in altcoin land? The pumpables? Wait, the pumpamentals? SpaceX launch, Bitcoin prices up. I don't know, man. Kind of awesome. Whatever. Kind of dope. Anyways, the discount from all-time high is currently at 49.3%. The market cap at 1.28 trillion. Yeah, SpaceX on IPO is larger than Bitcoin. Absolutely crazy. The block height is 953,396. So I'm sure you guys saw this, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you weren't on Twitter. Maybe you're being like a normal human and you aren't completely obsessed with Twitter. Someone you know, there was like a back and forth between Jack Mallers and Saylor, but we finally got Saylor's response to the 32 Bitcoin sale. And I think it hurt a lot of people's feelings. I think a lot of people were hurt with this. There was a lot of, you know, rules for thee, but not for me kind of tweets going around. It's peak bear market vibes. Everyone needs the final sacrifice for the price to go up. And I think people, are headhunting Michael Saylor, metaphorically, of course. They want someone to blame. And I think Saylor's had enough. So we saw on Twitter a lot of people definitely, you know, definitely freaking out. But anyways, what am I talking about? It's this.
And I refused to do it because a troll on Twitter said, hey, you said never sell your Bitcoin. Like, okay, fine, I'll destroy $100 billion company so that I don't sell my Bitcoin. You know? Well, the point is, I said to you, never sell your Bitcoin. I never said that the company wouldn't sell his Bitcoin. And anybody that's been listening to our earnings calls or reading our disclosures or has half a brain knows for the last 5 years, we've been very clear that, of course, we sell the Bitcoin if we have to.
Okay, so obviously, I think maybe the mocking kind of tone of it is what people got upset. I think it's kind of funny. I think it's actually kind of hilarious. But, or maybe people are saying it's very hypocritical, you know, like I said, rules for thee, not for me. And I saw some memes, you know, some good memes, you know, we're finally getting some good memes back. It was like the Drake, but it was Saylor on it. And it's like, never sell your Bitcoin. And then it's like, sell your Bitcoin. So obviously, it is, I think it's not even that big of a deal, right? Like, from a company perspective, he's, I don't think, doing anything too crazy. And even though, like I said, it might sound a little mocking and people, I think, are just looking for someone to blame for this bear market, and they just seem to have coalesced on Saylor as the guy to blame. Is it that crazy to be like, look, yes, never sell your Bitcoin. Hold your Bitcoin for the long term. As an individual, you should be holding your Bitcoin for as long as possible. You should be trying to get as much Bitcoin as humanly possible. But from a company's perspective, from a Bitcoin treasury company perspective, literally from the Bitcoin treasury company that, I mean, I know they have a software company, but no one really knows them for that. Literally, they just know strategy as the Bitcoin treasury company that is basically able to create money out of thin air to buy Bitcoin, you know, the infinite money glitch and the flywheel and all of that stuff. Like, I don't think it's that crazy to be, yeah, I tell you don't sell your Bitcoin, but we run a company and sometimes we might have to sell our Bitcoin. And again, as has been mentioning, it's like, okay, they sold 32 Bitcoin, but the following week they bought 1,500 plus coins. You know, for every one Bitcoin they sell, it seems like they're buying 50 plus Bitcoin on the other side. So, okay, maybe they're only buying 49 Bitcoin, but I don't think it's that crazy. And yes, again, it might sound a little hypocritical. And I think that's probably why people are upset. Or it might also just be like the mocking tone of it that got people upset. But it's like, it's not even that crazy. I think it's really short MSTR. Yeah, and everyone's like, Michael Saylor is lying. They are doing the clips, you know. He did say, like, I said, I vouch, I will never sell my Bitcoin. And now, in the context of this clip, what does he mean? Hey, yo, Michael, what do you mean? He said, I will never sell my Bitcoin. And now he's saying, yeah, we're going to sell Bitcoin. Everyone's like, you're lying. Maybe it's because everyone's autistic that they just do like the you're lying. But maybe, you know, giving him a little bit benefit of the doubt, maybe he's saying, I will never sell my personal holdings of Bitcoin. But as a company, we will sell a little Bitcoin. It doesn't have the same ring to it. And before you guys do simply Saylor apologism, I don't think that that's really the case here. I just don't think, like, there's nuance to this conversation, right? Like, there's nuance to everything. And I don't think it's that crazy to talk about as a Bitcoin treasury company. And as you can tell, the audience kind of loved it. They were laughing. Bitcoin Twitter hated it. Bitcoin Twitter lost their minds over it, but the audience is thinking it's pretty funny. This is pretty much fraud. Short MSTR. I mean, he has been saying in the earnings calls that this is what he's going to do. I mean, look, I'm not an MSTR holder, bag holder. You know, I don't buy MSTR. If this does hurt the stock price, then it's starting to look pretty juicy. I'm not going to lie. I've been blaming Nico for this bear market for a year now. I know, right? He's really the one to blame. But as you can see, a lot of people are not happy with, I think really they're just not happy with the price. They're not happy with the bear market. They're not happy with the 2025 all-time high. And I really do think that they are looking for someone to sacrifice. It's the tribalism of Bitcoin playing out. It's the cult cargo of Bitcoin playing out where, you know, like the Aztecs or the Mayans, you need to sacrifice for the rains to come, you know, for the gods to be pleased and give you fruits. I think this is kind of what's going on. Everyone is making Saylor out to be the bad guy. And hey, look, it does kind of come across a little snake oily, right? Snake oil salesman-y. And maybe, you know, maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt, maybe the more cynical is like this was more planned, and he always had this like, I will come out as the Bitcoin prophet, I'll say all these nice things, I'll acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, and then I will dump it on them. And or further, as some people like to say, you know, basically end up being the true strategic Bitcoin reserve for America. I don't know, maybe he's just like, yeah, bro, I'm selling some Bitcoin and it's not as nefarious and there isn't, you know, a conspiracy around every corner. Maybe it's just good business. Now, obviously, with that being said, I also believe that holding Bitcoin for the long term is going to be extremely profitable. I think it's going to not only be profitable, but fundamentally change the world. The trajectory of the world will change your life. It's happened to me. It's happened to all my friends that have been around for a while. So yeah, never sell your Bitcoin. Like buy Bitcoin, hold it, store it, never sell it. But, you know, caveat, like once you have all in on Bitcoin and you have a good savings in Bitcoin, like, you know, use your money. It's money after all. You don't have to fall into the cult ideologies of basically being poor forever. But hey, you got a lot of Bitcoins, right? There should be a time and a season. You know, there's a time and a reason for all the seasons. Now, everyone is in different positions. So you can't really give nuanced, mimetic, you know, rhetoric out there that's going to slap and go viral. You kind of have to be a little edgy, you know, more poignant, a little more direct. And of course, say some sound bites that will go viral. And that is never sell your Bitcoin. Now, you could say, and I think that's where the fraud calls are coming from, that he built his whole company and everyone's belief around him and his reputation on this idea of never sell your Bitcoin. And now he's selling Bitcoin. And maybe that's where people are saying he's a fraud. Got that, you know, used car salesman kind of vibe right now. I think it's just bear market things. As you can see, you know, in the peak of the bear market, Bitcoiners love to fight each other. In the peak of the bull run and the euphoria of the bull run, even the worst Bitcoin enemies come together and have a blast. And I think we're just seeing peak bear market stuff, okay? I think what we are seeing is just peak bear market stuff. Look, there are large. Yeah, I would get this. I would agree with you, win some hacks. There are a lot of shitcoiners, altcoiners that want to pump their bags and they, you know, are taking the chance to kind of take down Saylor. If that's what you mean. My boy in the chat. No, never sell your Bitcoin. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to do the double ad here because I think Bulldog Frank Holmes will be here in 5 minutes. So forgive me. If not, I'll go over the report and then Frank will come in and we will have a chat. Be back in a minute or two.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with zero penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. If you ever thought, what happens to my Bitcoin if something happens to me? Or what happens if I lose my phone? You're not alone. For a lot of people, the biggest barrier to self-custody isn't buying Bitcoin. It's the fear of making a mistake. And that's why I like Bitkey and I recommend it to my friends and family. Bitkey is a Bitcoin wallet built for real life, not just for day one, but for everything that happens in between. Lost devices, upgrades, accidents, and long-term ownership. There's no seed phrase to write down and worry about losing. And no single point of failure that can lock you out of your Bitcoin forever. What really stands out about Bitkey is the peace of mind. Recovery is built in. Inheritance is built in. It's a complete self-custody system built by the team behind Square and Cash App, designed to make holding your own Bitcoin simpler and safer. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today using Bitkey. Go to bitkey.world and use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off your new Bitkey. That's bitkey.world, promo code SIMPLY. I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIve Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy across 3 continents, HIve runs dual engines, Bitcoin mining and AI compute. Their AI platform is ranked #1 in the world for network performance, and it's doing something bigger than compute. It's accelerating human discovery, the science, the breakthroughs, pushing humanity further and faster. Listed on the NASDAQ with the ticker HIVE. Catch the latest buzz at HIve Digital Tech on X or HiveDigitalTech.com.
Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, cell towers can fail. Hurricanes, cyber attacks, blackouts, most people go dark. Satellite phones don't rely on local infrastructure. With Iridium, 77 satellites in orbit, you can stay connected across the U.S., even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123 also has Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags for your hardware wallets, and everything you need to build your own off-grid Bitcoin citadel. Go to sat123.com/simply and use promo code SIMPLY for 15% off anything in the store. All right, guys. Sorry for that, but I just wanted to make this a little more free-flowing, okay? So Bulldog Frank Holmes is not here yet, so I will have some time to cover this report because this is what everyone really is wondering. Where is the bottom, all right? So I did do the show that I think we're probably closer to the bottom than most people. Someone did tag me with like a TikTok crypto short, basically saying that, you know, some kid found the exact day and it's going to be October 5th of 2026 is when the bottom is going to be the exact bottom. It's something like, you know, 1,040 something days is the bull run and 345 days is the bear market. So October 5th is the date. He cracked the code, guys. Crypto guy on TikTok cracked the code. We know exactly where the bottom is, when it's going to be. But anyways, I was making the point that I think we are closer to the bottom price than everyone thinks it is. You know, we still have the calls, 75, 80% drawdown. That would mean 20, 30K Bitcoin. Well, without reading the entire Galaxy research report for you guys, they are also essentially making the case that because we didn't see a euphoria blow off top, then we most likely will not see the 75, 80% correction, meaning kind of what I said, that we might be closer to the bottom price than we imagine. Anyways, again, here is the report from Galaxy Research. Shouts out to Galaxy, and they go, Bitcoin may not have bottomed yet, but here's what the data says it could. This report shows the Bitcoin's 4-year cycle is likely still real, but compressing in amplitude. We then rely on market and on-chain data to suggest that Bitcoin USD has not yet bottomed and offer plausible bottoming scenarios. So, going into this, here is where we get into it. Again, not going to read the whole report for you guys. We're just, you know, what's the point of me reading the report when you can read it for yourself? I'm just going to pick the best parts for it. And this is where we go. So where the floor sits this time, turning the arithmetic into prices off today's cost basis of 53K gives a set of scenarios other than a single number, and we will lead with the middle one. So our base case, in which the bottom simply continues the cycle by cycle rise towards fair value, sits near 40 to 46K. A harsher washout to a 2018 and 2022 style level lands near 30K or 37K. A shallower outcome where steady buying absorbs the decline near the cost basis is around 51 to 54K, and merely touching the rising 4-year average 62K would be only about negative 51%. So I'm kind of the opinion that it's the shallower outcome. Obviously, what do I know? It's just more of an intuition bet here. It's more of a gut level bet here. And I think I highlighted a little more on this article. Okay, combining the analysis where the numbers say the drawdown will go. The conclusion of our analysis clearly suggests both how far a drawdown will go and how long it will take. All right, I think we got BULLDOG Holmes in. So before I get BULLDOG Holmes, I will give you basically the meat of this, that a calmer top has lifted the cost basis by 43% of the all-time high, so the dollar fall for any given style bottom is mechanically milder than in past cycles. We believe that the Bitcoin has historically fallen 75% to 85%, so this cycle bottom nears 19K to 29K rule is now obsolete as a literal price floor. Even a very harsh washout equivalent to prior similar washouts would now imply a much higher number. Hence, even our harsher washout is higher than that area, and our base is in the mid 40K region. I'm of the opinion it's the shallower, but what do I really know? Anyways, let's get BULLDOG Holmes in the show.
Hey,
BULLDOG Holmes. How are you doing? Where are you? You're walking. Usually you're in the studio. You got the bull behind you.
I'm in Madrid. I'm in Madrid.
Okay. Nice. And well, what are you doing down there, Frank?
And then I'm on my way over to Florence, and then I'm going up to Boden to see our data centers in Sweden.
Okay, awesome. Well, Frank, I want to start for everyone. I think our audience knows Frank BULLDOG Holmes, but for the people that don't, I want to do just the simple 30-second plug. Frank, who is Frank Holmes and what is HIve Digital Technologies? The 30-second plug for people that are unfamiliar with your work.
And you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I'm like the Colonel Sanders of this industry at 71, but I just finished running in a beautiful park here, 5 kilometers. So I still feel good, and I'm a fund manager, most important, and I have a fund group called US Global, and we have ETFs, and we're known for gold. And that journey from gold led me down to learn about Bitcoin. And in 2017, tried to launch a Bitcoin ETF. It was a no-go with all the AML and KYC concerns at the time. So I launched the first crypto mining company to go public. And that was the sort of journey of my learning about data centers. And then we pivoted as being the biggest at that time Ethereum miners, which was an incredibly attractive business. We were 6% of the global network at that time, and that taught me and the team about AI. And we started early on selling AI compute. And so we built that up to 36 million in revenue with 3 people.
Wow.
And it will now scale to our vision is deals we're working on, and we've been discussing in public, strategic partnerships with the biggest telecom in Canada, other companies like Cohere. All this stuff is all sort of pulling together that we think will do $500 million within 2 years of high margin revenue from the AI business, and transforming some of our Bitcoin data centers in New Brunswick and Sweden into AI data centers. But mainstay is really for Bitcoin, and where we are 2% of the global network is in Paraguay, where we source hydroelectricity at attractive prices.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Frank, one of the things that I find the most interesting and is your perspective on AI and Bitcoin, about how AI is expanding human intelligence and Bitcoin is protecting human sovereignty. And I think this is why you are obviously moving into AI. But for a lot of people, and I think our audience is probably in this camp, they don't see how the AI and Bitcoin necessarily connect. Could you expand on
Oh,
that?
I understand where they're coming from, because a few years ago, neither did I. We go back 5 years ago. And that was sort of the start of my journey. And I realized that as a Bitcoin miner, you're using ASIC chips. I'm crossing the street, so I have to look both ways first. And so when you think of that versus Ethereum mining, that's GPU chips. Well, GPU chips come from gamers. And in my research as a money manager, gamers were key element to building the whole infrastructure globally of the crypto ecosystem. And gamers are that GPU chip that NVIDIA created originally was for gamers. And that gamers needs and wants have evolved. It evolved into like a new plant that they call complex adaptive system. Something brand new evolves from it, and that's where we're seeing the evolution of AI. But what's important for the listeners is you need electricity for both. You need land. You have different chips. But one is to the sovereignty of global freedom from oppressive governments and oppressive banks. And that's Bitcoin. And that's better for humanity. And when we look at AI, it is to raise the IQ of humanity and also the health of people. The breakthroughs will continue at a very rapid pace in medical treatments, cancer cures, cancer treatments. And I'm so excited about HIve is positioned that way to improve humanity.
Amazing. Amazing. I don't think I've ever heard necessarily those two talked in that way. It's either like AI is going to change the world, or you have Bitcoin's going to change the world. And you're like, no, they're working in tandem. It's a beautiful symbiotic relationship. It's absolutely awesome, Frank.
Thank
Anyways,
you.
let's talk about the Buzz HPC, because of course, as we know, as we've been covering on Simply Bitcoin for a while, a lot of public Bitcoin miners are moving into the AI space. And like you said, you've been ahead of that pack. So let's just talk about, why does a Bitcoin miner become an AI compute powerhouse?
Well, what's happened is that Bitcoin mining were scrappy entrepreneurs that went out and sourced redundant, surplus, wasted electricity in the world. And that was really important of creating economic viability for little towns that had nothing but this hydro station generating electricity going nowhere. And that's where the Bitcoin miners are so incredible. Now comes along this AI boom, and the demand is so big. Michael Dell, who I was with a couple weeks ago, was presenting that 60% of the demand is coming from people like you and I. It's not big companies. It's individuals. And so we're witnessing that. I remember when Steve Jobs was alive, the largest shareholder base was not institutions at that time. It was retail investors at Merrill Lynch and Schwab before Robinhood evolved. It's just so the retail world and the retail influence in the stock market is very significant.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I think we lost him, guys. I think we lost him in the wild. Frank, if you can hear me, I think we lost you. Maybe he'll pop back in. Well, you guys know the deal. We do this live, and things happen live on air. So I'll give him a moment. We'll give him a moment. Maybe Frank will pop back in. I don't know if Frank thinks I'm talking over him right now. I don't know if he can hear me. What's going on here? But like he said, he was in Madrid, and it looks like I might have dropped him, or he dropped me. They're on to us. They took the connection. They didn't want this conversation to happen. No, I think it's just his signal dropped while he's walking around Madrid. Let me see if I can get in touch with him. We'll do it live. He saw the secret. Dude, I'm all right, guys. I'm dying in here. It's hot. I don't know what's going on with this AC in here. He gone, let's have a full Opti Bulltard Friday. Dude, I mean, is there anything to be bullish about, man? The bullish case is Bitcoin is 50% off. You get a better chance of getting Bitcoin, okay? But we'll pull up the chart real quick. All right. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Is Frank back? Yep, Frank. Hey. Can you hear me? You're muted, Frank. Frank, we can't hear you. Still can't hear you. I see you talking, but can't hear you. Frank, I can't hear you. There's no audio, Frank. It's not on my end. I can hear you. I can see. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll try that again. Maybe he'll pop back in. But yeah, as the chat's saying here, what is the bullish case? It's cheap sats. Okay. That is the bullish case. Frank, are you back? No, I still can't hear you. Well, you guys know technical difficulties. We do it live, guys. We do it live. This is what happens when you have a live show. But yeah, Frank, I still can't hear you. I don't know. You were in here fine, and now. Okay, I dude, I can I can read lips. He will pop back in, I am guessing. But yeah, we're at the bottom for the next 6 months. I kind of agree with that. I'm kind of the opinion, like, it did hit what was this price? Or here, I'll pull it up. You guys can see it's Friday. You guys can see my squiggly lines here. Where to go? Here we go. We did sweep the low here, and we got to what is the low? Was like 59.4. But since then, it is kind of holding on this, support that we've had, or since 2024. If it breaks through that, we might be going into that 50, mid 50 range, guys. Maybe 58K will have their day one more time. All right. So that's the squiggly lines for the day. Let's see. Frank, are you back?
I'm back.
You're back. You're back. Okay, let's go. All right, Frank. Well, I don't know exactly where we dropped, so we'll just keep it moving, because one of the things that I know you wanted to talk about is where are we currently, and that's what the chat wants to know. I know Bitcoin's been beat
Okay,
up
well,
lately.
I'm going to put my money manager's hat on.
Okay.
And I'm going to relate it to the gold market too. The all the global currencies trade off the 2-year government yield. And so what we've witnessed is that the 2-year government yields in the US went up. They didn't fall, they went up 20%. The percentage change in that yield. And the inverse of that was a 20% drop in gold. And gold led the way, and then Bitcoin all of a sudden fell. And when we look at, we do is data called Sigma, standard deviation moves. And gold has fallen 2 standard deviations over 60, a 60-day turn. So looking at a rolling 60 days, what is normal for gold to go up or down? What percentage is really material? And it's fallen 2 standard deviations, and that says we're due for a huge rally.
Oh,
Bitcoin has
let's
fallen
go.
Bitcoin has fallen 1.47 standard deviations. So it too is also ready for a big rally. And these are really important because the last time we had a gold fall this amount was in 2022, just after COVID. And so I think that statistically, we've got the peace now in Iran, and we'll probably see. We saw oil come off. I see my Jets ETF jumped 8% yesterday. The airlines are all packed, but they're all psychologically in a headwind. Has been high oil prices and those fears. Well, they're going to fall now. Gas prices have fallen below their 50-day. All this stuff is really bullish, and it's bullish for the market, and it's bullish for Bitcoin, and it's bullish for gold.
Let's go. Well, you know, the chat was saying, Opti, Frank fell off. Give us something bullish. I'm like, oh, no, Frank's going to give you the bullish signal here for the guys on Friday. And I think we just heard that. Also, hey, Frank, I did look at the HIve stock itself this morning, and you're doing better than Bitcoin right now. You got, you know, Cantor Fitzgerald saying it's going to 7, B. Riley saying it's going to 8. Man, I think at this point, most of us should have just bought the HIve stock and we'd be outperforming Bitcoin so far.
Well, I guess when you look at the relative valuation, Cypher and Hut 8 at 40 times revenue, and we're trading at 4 times revenue, and we're going to double the revenue. These guys are raising so much debt, and they're so far out before they have this execution risk, and I hope they just do well because it's just good for capital markets. But we're more immediate. We have revenue. We know what we're doing in the AI business, and so we are a platinum buyer, and we've been there for a couple of years, several years now, actually, with NVIDIA. This deal we announced in Canada is very significant because Trump went and told all these other countries in the world that if they don't want to comply, he can shut down their data centers with the Cloud Act. Well, that created a panic. But what you know what it did? It made all of our assets in these other countries go up in value. And now they all are so consumed with sovereign data centers to be protected. Well, HIve through Buzz, what we call is our AI HPC strategy. It's doing phenomenally well. And it took a while to build this big land bank. But this land bank we built is between the most intellectually robust corridor in North America of the AI Nobel laureate in University of Toronto, the Vector Institute, and the University of Waterloo. You know, University of Waterloo, this is a 100-mile corridor, 60 miles, 100, and in that distance is something like 7 million people. And you have where Bill Gates, when he was CEO of Microsoft, would call the Waterloo top engineers. So they win the IBM global software competition. So you have the intellectual capital that's necessary for this AI boom to continue in Canada, but they lagged the infrastructure. So their best brains were coming to America. And along we come with a deal of 320 megawatts in this important corridor is very significant for the country. And so I think it's exciting. I think that it's a $3 billion spend. We have people knocking on the door. All the major players want to participate in that vision, but it has to be basically a Canadian asset play, and it will just boom. So I'm very excited for the HIve shareholders for that. It's being born in Canada, is feeling patriotic back to the country, even though I'm also American. And I just feel that it's good for both countries as we go into this AI future.
Yeah, and let's talk about that idea of sovereign AI compute as a national security issue. I don't think a lot of people are even familiar with what is happening up there. So could you explain that for the audience?
Well, it's this big push by NATO to spend more money, and along came other derivatives of that. Other nuances came along in that push. So it was so good for Trump did was to push NATO to go to 2%. And then a push to 5%. Well, that 2% has ignited all the military stocks. And you're seeing this in Europe. You're seeing this in the US. And in particular is AI related rebuilding our military. So now you go into the calculations, and it's public, is the US government, it's like $270 billion. And they don't want to own the data centers. They just buy contract. So they're at the same time as happening in Canada, that the Canadian military have to go spend this money. And they're looking at, in the AI world, of drones and drone ambulances. I know this in San Antonio. They have an ambulance that can go over any terrain, and they're working on now how they can operate on you if you get wounded in the desert or anywhere. And so you're seeing not just for war is the color opportunity is for citizens anywhere. You know, when you hear the and all the traffic jams, and you don't have a helicopter, you're going to have a drone because you fell off your horse in West Texas that's going to be able to pick you up, immediately take you to a hospital. But they need data centers for this. And if you want this streaming, like here I'm in the streets of Madrid, and it's an incredible connection we have. And you think of that from 3 years ago. This is all AI data centers as how big they're getting and more significant. So we are in a super cycle, and Bitcoin miners were first to build. And so the Bitcoin miners are deeply valued, and it's much faster than to go buy a Bitcoin miner to convert to AI than it is for AI to start fresh. So the hyperscalers are all looking at, can we get fast track our growth by coming in and partnering with the Bitcoin miners that tied up all this electricity and land, especially in West Texas. So it's very exciting what's going on. It's so fast, not just what AI is doing itself, and OpenClaw, and you can go on and on with all the technology and the uses for it. But it's you and I, we're the citizens, and 60% of that demand is only going to grow. So I feel that when we look at Hut 8, who's done a wonderful job with hyperscalers, a contract, and if you take a look at that, they're trading 40 times revenue. And so I think when we look at some of these other smart Leopold's group that they bought HIve, well, because we traded 4 and we're going to 40 is the thought process. So if that happens, then you're talking about $10 billion potential in the stock.
Amazing, incredible. One of the things I've been mentioning to the show, or the audience recently on the show, is, it feels very bad because we're in the peak of a bear market, but there's so much bullish developments that have happened in, just this year alone, that I think we are going to see a wave of not just Bitcoin adoption, but of course a price in Bitcoin appreciation terms. And I think we are all underestimating just where we are going to go. And I know personally I've underestimated the AI space a little bit, but now with this conversation, I'm like, all right, I need to look into it a lot more. Frank's making a lot of good points here, and maybe it will be as big as everyone says it will be. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe it's not actually, Frank, what's your thoughts on, and then I do want to come back to, I saw your newsletter this morning, and there's a crazy stat in there that I want to highlight for the audience. But Frank, what's your thoughts on a lot of people saying that the AI hype is a bubble in the current market right now? Would you agree with that? Or do you think that there's still a lot more to run in terms of AI stocks and where it's going in the broader economy?
Oh, I think it's just some selective people that are shorting stocks and doing what they call the bubble channels and this group. Like that's what they do, and that's their business model. But that's what creates the uniqueness of America's capital markets, the bid and ask and the depth. In Europe, where I am right now, there's no big hedge funds. If there's a financial crisis, they have to go wait for the central bank to tell the banks to go in and lend money. That's not so in America. You have incredible pockets of smart people that are now credit. So we've seen this year GPU chips have basically not a 4-year life cycle, but a 7-year cycle. And that has been a key element that they've now become an asset class, like cars are an asset class. So you can get separate credit funding outside of banking for it. We never had that for Bitcoin. What we do have it for this other space that's growing on the funding of GPU chips. And then we see stablecoin operators, which is part of the Bitcoin evolution, coming in and wanting to get higher yields. So they're funding GPU chips. So there's the crossover for you that there's DeFi financial institutions looking for a higher asset yield, a U.S. asset like a GPU chip, and they're funding that from the stable coin.
Interesting. Super interesting. I do want to, like I said, mention something that I saw in your latest press release from HIve that I thought was absolutely insane, that your Bitcoin production from HIve has so far this year already surpassed last year by 104%. In the entire year of 2025, if I'm reading this correctly, you mined 1,414 Bitcoin. And so far this year, you've mined 2,885 Bitcoin. It's almost like the expansion that you have been talking about on this show is really putting up the numbers, Frank.
Yes, and we are very excited about that growth that will add another 10 exahash in Paraguay and go up to 35 exahash. It's been really important for HIve shareholders because what we've just witnessed this past week was the difficulty fall below 30, Bitcoin fall, total margin compression. But because we have economies of scale, we made money every day. And if you notice that many of the peers now stopped announcing what that production is and what their numbers are, and they're basically changing the narrative, we're not. And because we believe that both GPU chips and ASIC chips and data centers are key for humanity to improve the sovereignty of your economic savings. At the same time, for many other inventions will take place with AI.
Amazing, Frank. Well, I don't want to keep you in the streets of Madrid too long, so I will ask you the final message that you want to leave with the audience. The floor is yours, Frank.
Just stay positive. We live in the greatest nation in the world. And we're the most critical of our sports teams or critical of our president. It doesn't really, we're just tough on ourselves. But when you travel the world, and I'm over here everyone wants to get a pass to come into America. And I think it's a great nation, and it leads the world in innovation, from Bitcoin mining to DeFi. If you look at where is the intellectual clusters of DeFi, it's New York City and San Francisco. If you're biotech, it's Boston and San Diego. It's incredible what our nation does. And so thank God we are born here and live in an incredible country.
Amen to that, Frank. Amen to that. Well, Frank, thank you so much. Bulldog Frank Holmes for everyone. Or Frank Bulldog Holmes, I guess, is the better way of saying it. You guys know that the chat always loves when you come on and give people the macro, high-level view of where we're going on. You gave them the bullish bits today. So, Frank, again, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I will shut up now so you can get off the streets of Madrid and get on with your day. So, Frank, thank you so much.
It's now 8 o'clock for dinner time.
Okay. Well, I hope you have a good dinner, Frank.
Ciao.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, guys. All righty then, guys. You already know the deal. It's the end of the show. We made it through another week. Somehow, some way, we made it through another week here at Simply Bitcoin. And before I go, I do got to give a shout out to the boys over at Mining Disrupt. Guys, we are going, actually, we don't have to go anywhere. Mining Disrupt in Miami, July 21st through the 23rd in Miami, Florida. Make sure you get your tickets. And I think we might have some special plans surrounding it. I may have just leaked stuff, but we'll see. Things in the works. We're super excited about this. I hope you guys make it down. Of course, scan the QR code and use the promo code SimplyBitcoin to get 20% off. All right, guys. I made it. I made it through the week. I think, giving you a little bit of an update, I think Monday it will be a solo Opti show. And I think Nico will be back Tuesday. But the show must go on. So, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Let's hope the Bitcoin price has a good weekend, right? Let's just please have a good weekend, Mr. Bitcoin price. All right, guys, on that note, I will see you on Monday. Have a good rest of your day. Peace out.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.